Welcome back. This is the Lightforge podcast, Grinning Goat, Murder at Castle Nathria card review stream. This is Adwicta.
This is Merps. Hello, what are we talking about? Not Hunter. That's the only thing that matters is not Hunter. Okay, fine, let's go through this.
Alright. That's not the only thing that matters. Druid is actually quite nice as well. Hunter's going to be OP, just spoiling it. I don't think it's spoiling it. I think we've been saying it for a while. But Druid is also quite nice, and we're gonna start with the commons, and then go to the rares, and then go to the epics. But the big card to watch out for in the commons is Death Blossom Wumper. Death Blossom Wumper is a 6 mana 7/6 battle cry. Draw a Death Rattle minion and gain its Death Rattle. So if you're ever wondering what a regular like on curve statted minion like say a Boulder Fist Ogre is, if it just like draws a card, it's an A. And gaining its Death Rattle, I think this is a solid A. So even if it didn't gain its Death Rattle, it'll probably still be an A. And there is a little bit of a risk here because you may run out of Death Rattle minions, and also you are drawing a Death Rattle minion, and Death Rattle minions are generally not as good as average card in your deck. So there's a little bit of give and a little bit of take here. But overall, if you have an on-curve minion and then you make it also draw a card, it's going to be an A. And this card's an A. And A's may not be cool for neutrals, but they are your top level class cards. So this is good. This is not gonna make you throw your keyboard and smash it, or throw your phone if you're playing on mobile. But it is going to remind you of the power level of the modern sets. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing really else to say about it.
Yep, I think that's it. It's a pretty simple card, right? It's like what you were talking about yesterday. Some of the cards that we see are powerful, but just very simple.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one. Natural Causes. This is another common card. 2 mana, nature spell. Deal 2 damage. Summon a 2/2 Treant. Simple, basic. 2 mana, 2/2 that deals 2 damage. The 2 damage can go phase 2. It doesn't have to target a minion. It's a B. Not quite a 2-drop if your opponent doesn't have anything, which hurts it a lot because you want your 2 mana small things to be 2-drops. But 2/2s that deal 2 damage. Remember Blowfish, Blow Dart, Murloc-y sniper thing? That guy was a 2 mana 2/1 and dealt 1 damage. This is like super power creeping that.
Blowgill Sniper.
Yeah, Blowgill Sniper. So this is a huge power creep on Blowgill Sniper. Blowgill Sniper is a neutral. This is a class card, and we are like, I don't know, 5 years after Blowgill Sniper. So yeah, this is where we're at now. It's a B tier card. It's not that good. I think if you're really trying to do the math on it, you might end up concluding that it's insanely good, and it's not. You may be thinking like, what is it? The Phoenix thing. That's a 4 mana 3/3 and deal 2 damage. That was pretty good. And this is only 2 mana for a -1/-1. This must be insanely good. Well, the Phoenix thing isn't that great these days anymore, and this card has a lower chance of being able to be played as a 2-drop than that Phoenix had of being able to be played as a 4-drop. So it's actually about the same power level. A little better. Okay. Anything you want to add to Natural Causes?
No, definitely not for this card.
Yeah.
Super simple.
All right, I'll let you do the next one. I'll read it. It's Planted Evidence, another common spell, nature, 1 mana. Discover a spell. It costs 2 less this turn.
And what rating did we give this one?
We gave this one a C.
This is one that's interesting because you think about like you think about natural studies, right? The thing with natural studies is you can bank it. Like you're able to bank that that reduction. Here you have to spend it this turn, which means you probably want to use it later on if you want the discount. Otherwise, you're just discovering a spell. Some spells are good, some aren't so good. So, yeah. Like, I think... Okay, I see people in chat already are just like, oh man, this is like amazing. There are some bad spells. Like, you're not always going to get Arbor Up. There's some bad sets that are coming in. There are just going to be some bad spells. And if you get Arbor Up, that's fantastic. You're probably not going to get Arbor Up.
Look at the spell pool for Druid of all these sets. It's
Yeah.
not great.
So, look, you can get stuff for cheap if you use it this turn, but Natural Studies was so good because you
Yes.
banked anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you banked literally anything. Not just, the thing that you discover, but really literally anything, which is huge. And then if you kind of look at the pool of spells that are coming in, I don't know what you guys are hoping to discover, but I don't think the odds are great.
Yeah.
So that's why it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's just like if you're using it later on, so you can actually try to guarantee to get your 2 mana trigger. One, you may not because spells are conditional more often than not, or about as often as not. And two, what is saving 1 mana when you have like 8 or 10 mana? It's worth very little. So yeah, it's almost just a 1 mana to discover a spell.
Yeah, when you do save the mana, because like if when you do save the mana doesn't exactly matter anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which once again, like nature studies, you are able to bank it for like a big turn 3 play, right? Big turn 4
Yeah,
play.
you're
That's
not just
huge.
banking, but you're ramping potentially
Yes,
your
you're
spell.
kind of. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a big gulf between this card and Nature Studies. But if you just
Yep.
take the card as itself, just think of it as, look, spells are good. Random spells are a lot less good. Discovered spells are good, but you're paying a mana for it.
But you're
So it's
paying
just
an
kind
extra
of
mana
like a
for it. Yep.
fair card.
It's a fair card. Yep. So it's a C.
All right. For the rare cards, Druid is getting 2 total crappy cards and then 1 super awesome card. So let's go with the super awesome card first because they're more fun. The super awesome card Druid is getting is Plot of Sin. It is A plus, making this the very top before we start going, no, Blizzard, don't make cards like this. So this is the absolute most powerful card that basically I don't want an offering odds reduction for if there's no like class balance issue. And it is a 3 mana nature spell. A lot of nature spells coming in. Summon 2/2/2 Treants. So that's already a normal 3 mana card on curve. Infuse 5, so you're not going to get that on curve. 2/5/5 Ancients instead. Okay, so that's 3 mana for 20 stats. Let me just say it again. 3 mana for 20 stats. Yes, you may have to hold it in your hand for a while. No, you'll pretty much never be able to play it on 3 to get that bonus. But the backup is a totally on-curve 3-drop. Like, if you need to play it as a 3-drop, you play it as a 3-drop. But if you don't need to play it as a 3-drop, it is 20 stats for 3 mana.
It's really good. Look, once again, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. I'm buying in on Infuse, right? Like, give me the Infuse stock. I think that it's just a good meta for it. And this just seems like there just is not really much of a downside. Like, there really isn't a downside, right? We've seen cards that have Infuse that kind of do have a downside. Like, what was the card's name? Morlocula? Yeah. Like, you don't want to pay 4 for that. And then, if it's free, that's really nice, but you're like, I don't really want to get this normally. We've seen landscaping, right? Like, we've seen landscaping, and we're like, okay, that's a perfectly acceptable play on 3. And then, man, when this hits, it doesn't matter if it's like late in the game and you're like, oh, you can do a lot of crazy things. This is just crazy by itself. It's so much tempo for so little mana. Just crazy good.
It's like the equivalent of what, like, it's equivalent of a free 6/6 on the board. Like, compared to what you would normally get from a 3 mana 3-drop later on in the game. Like, that's just insane. And the trigger is just Infuse. Like, Infuse is not a hard trigger to fulfill in general, right? It's the arena, you have minions, you're going to eventually fulfill your Infuse obligations. So, like, Infuse cards aren't really combo cards, they're like delay cards. So it's delayed. And what's also delayed is the mana you pay. So it's all... It's really interesting they brought Corrupted back in the same arena set. Like,
Yeah.
I think the set and the constructions that the new arena team has been bringing together have all been like interesting and they're meant to be interesting. But you can see them flexing their dev muscles a little bit and creating some interesting combinations.
Yep. This is I think bringing in the infuse mechanic with Darkmoon Faire, like very intentional, and it just kind of fits. Although the problem with having too much of one kind of thing is it really does dictate playstyle, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of a fear in which it's like, man, if you have too much of this slow stuff, um, that might not be great. But we'll see. Like they can just tune anything out of existence. They
Yeah.
can make anything possible. But I'm excited to see sort of infuse work together with the corrupt mechanic.
All right, now we're going to talk about bad stuff. So the first bad stuff is another location card. So we're not going to explain to you what location cards do until we get an actual one that you'll ever want to pick. This one is called Hedge Maze. It is 3 mana. It has 2 charges. It says trigger a friendly minion's death rattle. It's an F plus, but you will almost never pick this unless you have a bunch of death rattle minions and they have really good death rattles. So we're going to skip this location card, and we will talk about locations with the next class, which has a very good, or has an okay location card that's actually usable. But as you can see from this, like location cards are very combo heavy, and they're not really always good in Arena. So we've skipped 2 already. The other rare card that will actually also never see play is because it's another F plus card. It is a spell, 8 mana nature spell, Nightshade Bud. Choose one. Discover a minion from your deck to summon, or a spell to cast. Now, this is bad. That's my analysis. I'm done.
It's bad. It costs a lot. You're not guaranteed to get anything. You're just hoping to get an expected value. That's basically it. Like your best case scenario, but no, like nothing more has to be said about this.
It's bad.
It's
All right.
bad.
We are now moving on to the epic cards, the 2 epic cards. We'll go with the better one first. The better one's the 4 mana one. It's a 4 mana 3/2 minion, Battlecry. Draw a nature spell, gain an empty mana crystal. Draw a nature spell, gain an empty mana crystal. So it's a 4 mana 3/2 ramp card that also draws you a nature spell. It is called Widowbloom Seedsman. It is a B, which makes it a little better than the average card in your deck. But as you can see, it's not really a powerhouse, but it does a lot of the setup-y stuff, right? Like you get a nature spell. Nature spells are pretty good. You have a body that you're putting on the board. You're not totally tempoing nothing out. And you're ramping to set up your next turn.
Yeah, I think it's just really good. And remember the speed that we are playing at, right? You should be able to get away with this.
Mhm.
As in, it's not great tempo, but with the exception of maybe like 2 classes, and even they have to have kind of specific decks for it, you should be able to get away with it, and it's just really, really solid.
Yep. The other epic card that exists is a C plus card. So a tiny bit worse than the average card in your deck. And it is Convoke the Spirits. It's a 10 mana nature spell for Druid. 10 mana. Cast 8 random Druid spells. Targets chosen randomly. So you see 10 mana, you see that it's casting random spells, and you're thinking, oh my god, I know what's happening here. Puzzle box is happening here. This is going to be insane. This is not insane. It is 8 random Druid spells. This is not a puzzle box.
So here is the difference between a puzzle box or a rune versus this. Rune and puzzle box, if they have a board and you don't, there's a pretty good chance their board is getting cleared. Here, if they have a board and you don't, there's a pretty good chance their board is getting buffed. So they're definitely going to kill you there. This is like, that's kind of the problem. Like when these cards are good, or like in order for these cards are good, you kind of have to have these big bombs like help you turn around the game, right? Big cards that are strictly like win more, or if not win more, at least like, you know, net positive by a decent margin, like they're just not as good And the real problem with this, like, even if you have a board that is like even, I haven't done the math exactly on this, but like I don't like. Do you play it before you do some advantageous trades? I don't know. Like I've only loosely looked at all of the spells, but yeah, there's a reason why this is far from the impact that a rune or a box
It
has.
also literally has 80%. It's casting 8 druid spells instead of 10 random spells for Puzzle Box. So they took Puzzle Box, which was Puzzle Box was back in the day when everybody was really afraid of RNG. It was like, good players don't even touch RNG. We're like, Puzzle Box is an S tier card. Watch out for Puzzle Box. I remember that one. And people were like, what? Really? I guess. And then, you saw it in play and you're like, yes, Puzzle Box. Always Puzzle Box. This is like the actual balanced version of Puzzle Box, even if it wasn't Druid and it was Mage. And the fact that it's Druid makes it a little subpar. It's not. It's not even just the spell size. I think Druid has normal spell sizes, but it's the buffs. It's too many buffs.
Yep. Yeah, the real problem is sort of like if you are in a position where you have the board and you expect to benefit a lot out of it, you didn't really need this, right?
Mm-hmm.
The strength of Puzzle Box and Rune is that it just clutches out games, right?
Yeah, like if you have a huge board, why would you want to throw randomness into it? Like,
Yeah.
period. Even if it's not like, even if you have a high chance that it'll buff your side of the board, like you're doing good. Don't spend your entire turn doing totally random stuff. When do you want to do totally random stuff? When you're not doing good, right? When you're not doing good, you want to up the RNG to 1 bajillion. So, box works. Rune only targets opponent stuff. So that always works. Convoke with the spirits does not really work. It's still a lot of crap, so it's a C+. It's hardly an unplayable card. It's like significantly better than Yeti. It's almost an average card in your deck, but it's just not going to be broken.
So here's the thing, and I see it. I see it in chat. They're like, it's not going to screw you like the box would.
When does box screw you?
Box doesn't screw you.
Who's out there getting screwed by boxes at any decent percentage?
If you're thinking like, oh, 10% of the time the box screws me, what you're saying is 10% of the time of a game that was very much in the air, or I was just going to lose, box didn't turn it around for me during that time. I think you should be okay with that. And that's why box is a premium card. Like, box is super duper good. This just doesn't do it. So what you're really complaining about, if you're complaining about box, is that, oh man, box didn't give me the game, or at least make it super competitive in the 10% of the time in which I'm choosing to play the box, which means the game was very much up in the air if I was not losing big in the first place.
Yep.
That's extraordinarily powerful. This isn't the same thing.
Also, box is no longer, it's not an S tier card, right? Like maybe back then the scale is an S tier card. Box these days is like an A tier card at best. So you're not like, I think
it's an A.
I think in everyone's memory, box is like super good because at the time it was released, it was like almost the best card ever that was like not a legendary. But these days it's kind of like just a really, really good like premium card. It's not a special card. It's not a card you would need banned. It's not nothing like that. All right. Let's go on to the legendaries. Druid has 2 legendaries. One is a B+, one is a B. Let's go with the B+ one first. The B+ one is Cecily of the Fate Court. Cecily of the Fate Court is an 8 mana, 8/8 taunt. Death Rattle. Draw a minion. Reduce its cost by 8. Fine. Like, B+ is good. You're getting a free minion. You're not only drawing a card, but you're getting it out whenever this one dies. That's all good. 8/8 taunts aren't even that bad by itself, even in today's meta. So that's helpful. It's fine.
I gotta say, yeah, I'm very surprised at how vanilla some of these cards are. Like, it's in the year 2022, and I'm expecting craziness, right? Like, and you have that sometimes. Murloc Holmes, I think, is a great example of like, oh man, they are really pushing what it means to just design a card in 2022. And they have cards like this. I'm not saying this is bad design. I'm just like, oh, okay, this is just a very
why is it a legendary? Card. Like, it's a weird thing to be a legendary. This looks like a rare. It doesn't even look like an epic card.
True. Yeah. I would expect a more wacky thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Murloc Holmes, like what was it, Prince Renathal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Stuff like that. Stuff like that.
yeah. Speaking of wacky things, here is a definitely legendary card. This one's rated lower, actually. It's only a B. Topier the Shrubagazor. It's a shrub dragon that is breathing fire. I think it's fire. It could be strawberries. I can't really tell. But whether it is breathing fire or strawberries, it is a 5/5 dragon because it is made of a shrub. So it is not as good as the other dragons. And for 7 mana. But the battle cry says, for the rest of the game, after you cast a nature spell, summon a 3/3 whelp with rush. Now, that's insane if you have a lot of nature spells, because it's for the rest of the game. That's useless if you don't have a lot of nature spells. You're going to have a decent amount of nature spells in this meta. Not going to be an insane number, but that's kind of what druids do. All druid spells are either nothing or they're nature spells. And so their good ones are also either nothing or nature spells. And you're going to be able to get some 3/3 whelps with rush, and it'll make this end up like a B. Like it's a better than average card in your deck for the average deck. Now, if you get this early on, and you can, intentionally draft a lot more nature spells, it gets better. But if you're drafting this kind of like middle with your expected number of nature spells, it's a B.
Yeah, I think some people might be surprised at this score, as in being like, "Oh man, it's so bad." It's not that bad. It's not like it's
you
not
get the
so
value
bad.
back. You're going to cast nature
you get the
spells.
value. You're gonna cast it. So look, the first one that you cast, you're not really getting value yet. It's the second one that you cast, and you're like, okay, even though it's a double delayed 3/3, it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right, that's it for Druid. It's kind of boring as it should be. It's kind of decent value as it should be. You're gonna have a plot of sin and make people mad, but hey, even plot of sin at the end, what's it doing? It's just saving some mana, right? It's just tempoing out some stuff in the late game. It's not that like pull out your hair, uninstall the game kind of like card. It's Druid. I think Druid is going to be very Druid in this set.
What does that mean?
That means it's going to be boring. That means it's going to be get on the board and buff, or you're going to have a little bit of a problem. It's going to be a little technical with the on the board trading stuff, and it's not going to be very good or powerful of a class by itself without it being buffed. But it'll also not be as terrible as the win rates are going to indicate. That's my prediction for Druid.
Okay, cool. Look, I think Druid is going to be boring. Like, you call it Druid doing Druid things, I'm going to call it like it is. I think it's going to be boring as hell, so I don't want to play it.
That's why I love Druid. That is why Druid is low-key my class. I say it's Warrior, but Warrior's gotten totally freaking crazy, and so now it's Druid.
Look, I'd rather obviously play Hunter. I'd rather play Skeleton Mage, like
Skeleton Mage is gonna be so annoying. Oh my god, why would you want to play Skeleton Mage?
I love it.
There are two types of people in the world: Skeleton Mage people and the people who actually us. You guys will see. We'll get to Skeleton Mages. Skeleton Mage as a mechanic is just triggering to me. But that's it for Druid. Not much more to say about it. Next up, we are going to talk about our first actual location that you will draft. And we're going to talk about Hunter, the best class in Nathria. Why don't you let's give it a shout out.
All right. Shout out to everybody in Twitch chat right now for helping us figure out exactly what we did wrong, okay? Because you guys are the definitive authority on arena knowledge. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you to the mods for being here and helping organize the giveaway, which we will do soon. So thank you all for that. And to all those on YouTube watching, we appreciate you. And to those few people who comment, we especially appreciate you. That's it for this video.
See you guys at Hunter.
Bye.